We don't have an intro video. Hi. Hi, everyone. We're so glad that you are here. Um, I am so excited today. We're going to talk about beyond the roles. And I am your host today. Hey, Mima Minto is here. Hi there. Welcome. Welcome. So, I am your host, Marcella Crank of Crank Get Up Coaching, and I am with these beautiful women. And so, Yvette, share with us a little bit about yourself and some a fun fact, please.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting us, Marcella, to crank this all up for Women's Month. Hi, Simone, and hi,
Mhm.
Shahida. I'm Yvette Carrion of Manila, and I'm a founder of Pivot Point, self awareness coaching and workshops. And I love really singing with the karaoke, singing while doing the dishes, doing houseworks. That's my fun fact. It gets me going. So that's me.
All
Back to
right.
you, Marcella.
How about you, Simone?
Hello, everyone. My name is Simone Burke Cousins. I'm a mom of two. I'm married. I live in the state of Delaware, and I'm from the beautiful, beautiful island of Jamaica. Fun fact, let me see. I love sushi. I love to cook, and I cannot dance. I did say I was from Jamaica, so I should be able to dance, but I have two left feet, and when I share this with people, they just get absolutely blown away.
Shahida.
Good afternoon. Can you ladies hear me okay? I'm sorry. Good evening. Yeah. My name is
Yes.
Shaida Mahmood, and I am the founder of Elite Youth Edge, mother of three. The fun fact is my favorite time is to hide in a corner with my book when boys
Mhm.
are busy and doing their things in a house. And with three boys and their fathers, sometimes it can get very noisy. And finding that corner is always peaceful and something that I love doing.
Nice.
Hi. And so, again, I'm your host. And a fun fact about me is I absolutely love to travel. I have been to, I think, 35 countries, and uh, I'm missing 12 states before I hit all of them. So
Wow.
I am, as I said, I love to travel. All right, so let's get started. And with the first question, and the first question deals with identity. So please be a little patient with me because I'm definitely new to this. So the question is, when you strip away roles, titles, and expectations, who are you really?
Mhm.
And so let's start. Well, y'all all don't have to go. And before we get started, I do want to tell the audience that I put the question on the screen because I would love to hear your responses, your comments, your questions. And so please feel free to comment. So, who wants to answer that?
Well,
I
I
can
think I
go
can
ahead.
relate. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to go ahead, Shahida?
We are
Or
also excited to share.
I know. And that's when you
All
have four
right.
women in one room.
Mhm, mhm.
All right, so
So,
maybe I will pick. But okay,
okay, no
I
worries.
think Simone, you
Yes.
want to share? Mm-hmm.
All right. So, even listening to our introduction, and I deal with a lot of women on a daily basis. When we're asked, who are you? The first thing we usually say is, I'm a founder of so and so, I'm a mom of two, I'm a wife. Yeah, but what about you? So we're so accustomed to performing roles to the point where we forget who we are as individuals, right? So this is something I'm constantly reminding myself that I'm more than a mother, I'm more than a wife, I'm more than a business owner. I am Simone Burke Cousins. Well, let me take the cousins off because that's my husband's name. I'm Simone Burke before all of this happened, right? And when all of those things are stripped away, I am just a quiet girl who, similar to Shahida, just loves to be. I like to be in a space where I can just pause and reflect. I like nature, I like peace, I like calm. I can sit in a room all day by myself and not talk. I just like that time to just be because it's so much noise. The roles come with a lot of noise and responsibility. So when all of that is stripped away, I am just an introverted person who just likes her own space and preferably a peaceful and quiet space. So that's who I am.
All right. Yvette?
So yeah, stripped away of all the roles and expectations.
That's me.
Actually, this happened to me when my kids were going to college. When I realized that they're all going away, and so who am I? And so
Mm,
to share some vulnerability here, I really cried that time because for the longest time in my life, I was enjoying the role of motherhood. I love being a mom, and when they were leaving and I saw myself alone, I really cried
mm,
because who am I? It was so I was really lost. And so from there I gathered, like you, Simone, peace and
mhm,
being quiet. That helped me rediscover and reinvent myself and find out what I had inside. And that led me
mm,
to ask myself, what do you have inside you, in your heart, that would speak out and be something of you to share? Because I think basically I'm a nurturing person. I love to nurture people.
mhm,
Shahada, do you want to contribute to this question?
Absolutely. That's one of my actually favorite questions that I had been asking myself recently since I turned 40. I think that was the first time I asked myself, who am I at my core? Because prior to that, if we live in a society where we're getting the grades that somebody has put the expectation on us, and
mm,
you're like principal honor rolls and this and that, and you go to the school that was predestinated by either your culture, your parents, or your influencers, and you think it's like a new trend and you gotta follow whatever that was. So throughout my life, it was more of what am I achieving rather than who am I. And when I turned 40, I think that's when I start asking myself, who am I at the core? What makes me happy? Who am I becoming? Because, by
mm,
40, you have already become a wife, a mother, and bunch of other things in your career. So now, who are you? So at my core, I am someone God created me intentionally to be who I am supposed to be. And becoming is a process, lifetime process. And that's when I realized, at my core, I am someone who loves creating community space and place where, people are comfortable just in their skin, who they are, where
Hmm.
people are not competing, but rather becoming who they are. So I guess in my in my journey, it's more of who am I becoming more than who I was or what my roles and titles were. So I am basically someone who's trying to live a life intentionally and then closing a day with more reflection that what I accomplished during the day, and I'm grateful for what is being blessed, and then I am looking into the next day that's going to unfold. So literally living in a moment, whatever makes me happy.
mm,
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love what you said, Shahada, I love what everybody said, but about becoming, because we're always becoming, right? We're becoming someone. We're, well, hopefully, we're always growing, we're always learning, and we're always adapting something new with, and I love that. And I think for me, you said something else. I loved everybody's answers, but you said something else about you are who God created you to be. And so that's how I feel. Like I am who God created me to be without the roles. I'm a human being, right? A human being makes, it's not perfect. We make mistakes. We, you know, live our lives the best way we know how. And one of the things that I right now am really striving to do is live in the moment, as well as, instead of, it's, we're human beings, which means we are supposed to be, not do, but we tend to be women that tend to do. And that leads me to our next question, which is, where do you think women feel the most pressure to prove themselves today? And how has that shown up in your own life?
Ooh, can I go first? I know I
Yeah.
was the last one to speak. This actually, like, I think this is one of my favorite questions that somebody has asked me in a long, long, long time. So just looking at, like, who are, uh, rephrase that. So, like, basically, women are being pressured to be everything everywhere. And we don't give ourselves permission to be. And there are times that, we are being emptied out and we can't really pour from the empty cup. So, yes, you are a mother, you're a nurturer. Yes, you are a worker in your field, whatever work you're doing, you're providing, and then you're attending to everybody's needs. But deep down, we forget we have our needs too. And those needs, unless we attend to them, nobody's going to attend to us. And one thing our mothers did a wonderful job at, like, being there for everybody else, but not being there for yourself. And being there for yourself means basically self care. And a lot of times we confuse self care with selfishness. And that's not selfishness. When you're caring for yourself, you're basically asking yourself what your needs are, attend to those needs so you can become a better person and you can attend to everybody else's as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
So don't be everything to everybody, be you. And when you need somebody, lean on someone, because another area that we all really I think struggle with is like asking for help. Unless you ask, answer is always no. Ask. Ask as many people as you can until you hear a yes, and spend that time on yourself as much as you spend on somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like what Shahida said, and just to I resonate with her, and just to move to share this. There was this poster that showed a chef, a driver, a teacher, everything else, and then the caption said, "So, mom, you can take a day off because we have all the replacements for you for this Mother's Day." All the things that we do for our families, whether we are in a marriage, we're alone, we still have our community, and women tend to give all that they can give. I think it's not only because of conditioning, I think it is inside our heart to be giving. I don't
Mhm.
know, for some reason, maybe it's part of our nature, because God knows that the mother or the woman or this this lady has so much, and he gifted us with us, as Marcella said. And I really like it when you said that we are a gift from God. So for me, the most pressure that I think women these days feel, aside from the condition, fighting and struggling with the conditioning that we were raised with, Anyway, for my generation and my, because I think I'm in the 60s. I'm dual citizen. I think that the conditioning there and the struggle with that, combined with social media, the social currency that we have to face right now, I think that's also another
Mhm.
pressure. It's magnifying whatever it is, whether we are minimizing our role or maximizing who we are. It Everything is magnified by social media, and I think women these days try to cope with that.
Mhm.
Yep. And
Yeah.
for me,
Uh,
yeah, this I mean, for me, it happened to me as well when I was new with all these likes and these comments, and I was not sure of myself. I wanted to please everybody, and I was like, what's my social currency? How many likes do I have? How What are the comments I
mhm.
got? But now it's more of like, because of the journey of inner journey, that self-awareness journey, that you know who you are, and
Mhm.
you're more grounded. Like, for me now, that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
For me, I would love to. I'm pretty much echoing everybody's sentiment. There's that need to be everything to everyone all the time and to absolutely do it well. I find that your worth is tied up into productivity, right? And we are also at the point where, and I think Shahida mentioned it earlier, that we're supposed to wear it well and it's a badge of honor. So asking for help is just out of our purview, right? So as it relates to how it shows up in my life, I find myself being the one that everybody relies on. And I'm more aware now, but back in the day, I would say that I would tend to put everybody's need before mine because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife. I'm supposed to carry everybody to the detriment of how I feel and what my needs are. So I'm learning to prioritize and put myself first because it's cliche, but we really can't pour from an empty cup. And I find that when I take care of myself, I'm able to be a better mother, better wife, a better business owner. So putting myself self first is definitely at the top of my to-do list. But there is really that pressure that we need to show up for everyone to the detriment of ourselves. And I'm happy that this forum is here for us to, spread some awareness, help people to become more aware, self-aware, and in tune to the fact that things are changing. Self-care is just that. It shouldn't be optional. It should be a priority. We want to engage in self-care when we're already burned out. It is not supposed to be a plan B. Plan B is supposed to be plan A. So I think we're moving away slowly from that, thankfully. But the pressure definitely to be everything to everyone all the time and do it well with a big, nice smile is definitely something that's expected of us, I believe.
yeah, yeah. And I think, the question is the feel most pressured to prove themselves is
Yeah.
a lot of times it's at work, right? Because we tend to have to know more than the average person. We have to
Mhm.
do more than what's necessary to prove that we can. And unfortunately, with that pressure, and it's one of the questions that I'm going to talk about is, your worth. And a lot of
Mhm.
times the doing is connected to how we feel. We're, a friend of mine was, she was cleaning, her mom passed. She was cleaning the house and she has a lot of health issues. And so she had to take some medicine and it made her tired. So she said to me
Mhm.
that um, I wasn't worth 2 cents. And of course, because of who I am, I'm like, don't ever say that again. You're you're priceless. But uh, so many of us believe that what we do is who we are,
Who we
right?
are.
And it's
Yep.
based upon
Mhm.
our worth, all that we do. And I was attending this meeting one time, and the person speaking said, stand up if you are a superwoman. And all of these women stood up proud. And she was like,
Mhm.
sit back down because it is, you don't need to be a superwoman. And so we
Yeah.
tend to want to be a superwoman. And I think that's like ingrained in us. We have to do. And like you alluded to, Simone, that, you know, the cliche, it is cliche, but the saying when you're in the airplane is put
Airplane.
on your mask first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before you put on your child's mask or someone
Mm-hmm.
who needs help.
Yeah. And if I can further add, like you rightfully said, a lot of that is just ingrained in us. And I feel like even when we don't want to show up, we feel the need to show up because that is what is expected of us. So it's really tied into the first question. And I like to joke around a lot. And even if I'm superwoman, sometimes I want to take my cape off, whether it's to have it washed or just ironed out or something. I don't want to fly around being Captain Save them all the time, you know. So even Superman, the actual Superman in the cartoon or whatever that is, he turns into Clark Kent. So and I even connected to machines, even factories. There are days when people close down their factories and workplace so they can oil up the machines. And if they're machines and they can pause to take a break, why can't I, as a woman, take a break without guilt? Because we take the break, you know. And I struggled with that for a little while. Took the break, and then while I'm there resting and relaxing, my mind is like, oh, I could be doing that. What will so and so say if they see me relaxing? So it's a lot of self imposed stuff, and there are a lot of cultural and other elements that, you know, lead to where we are, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me share a comment. Ashley said, absolutely. Simplify
Mm-hmm.
one thing said, I feel one place we feel the most pressure is in our professional lives, right? The comparison, um, we get we get stuck in. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
looking at other people, and you know that is a trap. The comparison,
Yeah.
because when you compare, comparison leads to discontentment all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comparison is a thief of joy. That's what I like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then Candace said, I think we feel pressure as being a mom and sitting every, oh, and I think
Batting
she,
every T on every I, probably.
yeah, exactly.
Mm,
And not making
Mm-hmm.
mistakes.
yeah.
Yeah, one last
Yeah.
comment, I guess, on this is like, as a woman, we have learned to be under pressure and then make ourselves whole. And sometimes we don't have to be. If we're not whole, we don't have to show our wholeness. We have to be honest about it. And that's what my
Mm-hmm.
journey is with my kids. Like, it is 10 times harder to make kids do the things, and it's so much easier for you to do it, get it done. But unless you train them now, that's never going to happen. So give yourself
Mm-hmm.
grace, be honest, be being, like be the human being, because just like all the other genders, women are human beings, being complete
Mhm.
beings. Sometimes you get tired, sometimes you get exhausted, sometimes you just don't want to do anything, and you have that nothing box. Go in there and do what you got to do. And
That's true.
and honesty, you don't find yourself in pressure, you find yourself in honesty. Be
Mm,
honest with
Mm-hmm.
yourself. The most lies that we tell anybody is ourselves.
yes.
True
Yeah.
Yeah.
love.
So
Yeah.
Candace said, I have learned that over time, but it gets hard when everyone wants you to show up for them. I have set
Mm-hmm.
boundaries and people get mad, but they will learn my new behaviors and learn and yearn to
Yeah.
my atmosphere. So
Hmm.
she set boundaries, and they'll learn her new boundaries and have to yield to those new boundaries, which is really
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries are excellent.
I know. I
Yeah.
love that because I used to be like everybody's. You want to please everybody, so you're the nicest person in the world. But then my gosh, you tire yourself. You're so tired. You say yes. You don't want, but you still say yes.
Yeah, when your body's screaming out loud, no, you say yes. Just suck it up one more
Mm-hmm.
time. Don't
Right.
Yeah.
be your best
Yeah.
friend. Learn one day
Yes.
at a time. That's the best advice I have given myself so far.
And I like Candice's comment about boundaries. That's something we really need to be friends with. Boundaries are not a bad thing. I think a lot of times we give people too much access to us. So when we create and maintain those boundaries, we may find that we lose a lot of people because they are so accustomed, to free access. So when you start to look out for yourself, so to speak. A lot of people get mad and they disappear. And at this point in my life, I'm not even mad at them. Leave if you need to leave, but boundaries how I need to is a way of it's a form of self care. And I mean,
Mhm.
if you can't respect that, it's fine. The door is open for you to come in or let yourself out. That's where I pretty much am. And I'm turning 40, so I'm getting in that era, Shahida, where listen, me first,
Welcome on
not
board.
selfish, everybody else behind there.
Love
Yeah.
it. I love it,
Yeah.
Simone.
Yeah. And Timmy said, I say ask for help and better yet, accept the
Mhm.
help when offered. And we have
Mm,
to
Yep.
move on, but
Yes.
that reminded me of a time I'm a veteran, right? And I was deployed this place and I had this huge suitcase. And this guy saw me struggling up the stairs with this suitcase. And he's like, hey, you want help? And I said, no, I got it. He said, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I got it. And here I am struggling up the
Struggling.
stairs instead of saying yes. Is it because that's how we're trained? Is
True.
like we can handle anything, we can handle everything. But is that true? No, that's a lie. That is a lie.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And so, definitely accept the help when offered.
Mm,
Amen.
yeah. I think that's letting go of the pride.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is if there was a time when your voice was quieter or held back, what helped you begin speaking more honestly or fully?
I want to start this one off, Marcella, because this is something that I have been talking about for the past 2 days. I'm currently going through some health challenges and I'm trying to figure it out. So, where I'm from, and I think probably all of us can relate to it, the people who have the letters behind their names, let them do their jobs, right? So, when it comes down to my health, probably as a younger person, I would be suffering, but whatever the doctor says, that is it, right? So, and I think I've shared this before, and if not, this is a safe space, and I'm sure other people can benefit. But I've experienced multiple pregnancy losses, and again, this is my body, and I'm the only one who feels exactly what I'm going through. But I've been in spaces where I was pretty much it felt like suppression, so to speak, where I am feeling a certain type of way or certain symptoms, but because the professionals are saying, there's nothing wrong, I just sat down and be quiet. But I've learned quickly over time that, especially as a Black woman, I have to speak up for myself. There's nobody out there that will advocate on my behalf for me. And the reason why I felt muzzled, so to speak, again was because they're the doctors, they're the experts, and they're up there, and I'm down there, kind of thing. But I've learned again that the only person that can speak on my behalf is me. It was a painful journey because you get the eyes, people look at you crazy and like, how dare you, contradict or question these people in authority. But again, with my experience, in this space, I had to speak up, and that came with confidence. That's a whole other discussion. Confidence was something that I had to work on, and unfortunately, it was that unfortunate situation that just allowed me to speak up, because probably if I didn't, I wouldn't be here today or be in a worse situation that I'm in health wise. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will go next because this right here, I think I grew up quieter, held back, without a voice. And
Mm-hmm.
for years and years, I mean, I probably, for the majority of my life, this was true. The only time I spoke up, and it's for me, it's so interesting, but when I've shared this before, people shake their head that I would speak up for other people. For the underdog, I'll speak up. But when it came to me, I would be silent. And
Mm-hmm.
how that changed, what helped me to start speaking up is self awareness. Is why are you being quiet when you have something to say? And especially when, I do believe that people are going to think whatever they want to think about you. And no matter what you say, they're going to, you're not going to change their opinion. But what I want to share is that, so for me, a lot of times people would be nasty or say something, and I would just take it in, right? And even to the point where I would start believing what other people say. So the voice first, it's the self-awareness and knowing who you are, right? And so now I may not say anything to the person, but I know who I am, and I can speak to myself and say, well, you know who you are, and no, that's not true, instead of receiving what other people say about you.
Hmm,
Nice.
interesting. So for me, my experience here was like I'm a mom. I'm a domestic goddess. I didn't choose a career. So I stayed home, raised the kids and the husband. And for me, when I went out of the world, when I shared a while ago that I reinvented myself, I was so insecure. I had no confidence in myself because all my friends were like they were in their own career paths. And then the people I know, they were like PhDs and whatever titles they have. So that made me feel so small and not good enough. And it made me like shut up because you don't know anything. So it held me back. It made me like agree, you know, just say okay because they know more. But then I realized, again, as Marcella said, through self awareness, my inner journey of self awareness, with deconstructing the beliefs that limited who I thought I was. And then it gave me time to reevaluate myself. And then I remember this guy, Dr. Tariq, who is a good friend. He's a good practitioner as well. And he said assertiveness is key because when you communicate, it's so important to assert yourself. And so that helped me realize that when I assert myself, I'm not being aggressive. I'm just hearing the other side, let them hear my side as well. So it's being fair for both of us. So what helped me here was really assertiveness, learning that thing. Although it was so hard because for someone like me who was so like held back for a while, for a long time, but now with that self-awareness journey and then meeting you women who have your voice, I really
Mhm.
get inspired to share my own voice.
That's good.
Okay, I guess it's my turn now. So I'm just listening to you, Marcelo. I had been someone who was like always speaking on somebody's behalf, but
Mhm.
I was silencing myself because I didn't think I need anything. So during that time, like, especially first 10 years of my marriage and my marriage plus two kids and full-time career in financial sector, and then I didn't have time for anything else. And whenever I would take time to have, like, take a vacation or something, one of my child got sick. So what do you do? Clean up, mama, and just suck it up, do it. So at that time, I guess, like, more than anything else, I was attending to all the needs and expectations of the society and the world, the mold that world has created for the woman to fit themselves in. And I was fitting myself in all kinds of molds, and I was shrinking, and I was becoming more silent. And then deep down internally, it was cracking, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And then that's when, like, when I got pregnant with my third child, I said, you know what? That's it. I'm taking a break from corporate America. And that's when I signed up for, like, first construction project, which was my kitchen that we were supposed to get it done. And that's when, like, I said, I kind of know what I'm doing with that, like, expectation of a construction role. And then after that, like, when my third pregnancy was like very challenging in itself. And then as much as I wanted a girl, this was a boy again. And then I was like, in the world where people literally are praying for the boys, I'm praying for the girl. And it's not happening. And it's killing me. And every time try to share this thought with anybody, people were like belittling me. Are you crazy?
Mm.
Why would you think that? Like, boys are so much more. And that's when my little voice that I was shutting down ever since I was a kid start coming out. And then I was like, some of those thoughts, you cannot bring it up because it offends a lot of people. So I started writing it down. And now, like, when the COVID happened, and then I was home with three kids, and that was my way of, like, self therapy per se, because I come from a culture where therapy is a stigma in itself. And then that time, I think Timmy offered one of the courses on marriage, and I took that course, and I found my voice for the first time in the longest time. And since then, instead of talking openly, I started writing, journaling. And during that time, like, I guess when you're more silent, but internally you're the loudest, and yet it shows on your personality, it shows around you, but you're not speaking it up. So that's when I
Mm.
thought about, like, adopting a little girl. We looked into it, didn't work out. And then little that I knew that, I have captured my little girl within me that pops up every chance she gets. So now I gave that little girl the voice. Okay, speak up. Why say what you want to say?
Mhm.
And then that's when my elite youth edge comes in, because we are voiceless for the longest time. Unless we give that
Mm.
voice, or real voice that is actually coming out from internally, we're not going to make a difference. And as a mothers, we have a duty to teach our young ones, especially our, like, daughters, our sons, how to respect one another, how to respect yourself, and how to attend to your needs. Speak up so we can understand what your needs are, so we can meet those needs.
Yeah.
Mm.
That is good.
So, Yvette, Timmy said, I loved your share. Thank you.
Mhm.
And she also said, quieting my voice or my shrinking does not serve the world. Let me say that again. Quieting my voice or my shrinking does not serve the world. God made me a blessing. How dare, how dare I dim my light? And that is for all of us.
Wonderful.
That God has made us a blessing. How dare we dim our light? And
Yep.
then I wanted to share this one. This one is funny because it says, it's from Mima, said, I think my family wishes I would quiet my voice, especially when it comes to them.
Oh, we can all relate to that one.
I know.
And then Candace is saying, God is dealing with me in my quiet seasons. Watch him speak for me in situations that I thought was uh, going to break me because I couldn't speak. That's
Mm.
right. The word says he'll fight our
Yes.
battles.
Mm.
All right. Let's go to the next question. What does coming home to yourself actually look like in your everyday life?
I love this question.
All
It's
right,
like
Jay.
setting peace. It's your inner peace. Yeah, for me, coming home to myself every day is my moment of silence. I always give myself in the morning or any time of the day, but more in the morning before I do my have my day started, and in the evening before I rest is my moment of peace, and then my moment of getting in touch with my faith as well. And then it always tells me, especially in the morning, you're a woman of faith, you're a woman of action. You know, you're a woman of faith and action. Just do what you can while you can and with
Mhm.
whoever you can.
Yeah.
And then also for me, sense of humor the whole day is so important for me. I mean, it's like, okay, you don't know what life offers you today, so just have that important bag of sense of humor. And then gratitude. I think for me, my heart speaks of gratitude. I'm always, even when hardships come, I'm so thankful, not because of the hardship, but because what am I going to discover about myself today?
Hmm.
What will this tell me? And what is this going to um, let me learn that I can share with my children, that I can share with
Mhm.
the people I get in touch with, and the people that I, especially when I do workshops, experiential things that make them connect because it's real, it's not theoretical. And this gratitude is one thing that's so important that keeps me going.
Yeah. So for me, like you, Yvette, I'm practicing a lot of gratitude because I believe I have more to give thanks for than I complain about. You know, I often joke around that God probably is rolling his eyes at us because if it's too hot, we complain. If it's too cold, we complain. If it's snowing, we complain. If it rains, we complain. You know, so if it's snowing, even though I don't like it, I stay inside because I don't like the cold. If it's too hot, you know, I just according to the weather. So for me, instead of complaining when I come home, I just take a moment to reflect and give thanks for what went well. And I look for lessons in everything. No matter how dire the situation is, I believe there's a lesson in it that I may not appreciate it now, but somewhere along the line I'll be like, yeah, this really worked out for good. And that is something I'm, you know, trying to teach my children to, you know, just find a lesson in everything. And most importantly is just finding that quiet moment in a corner. So I've captured two spaces in my house. One has a TV and a nice fireplace. So at the end of the day, this is where I would prefer. It's not always ideal, but this is where I like to sit down and just maybe take a nap or drink some tea. I have a whole tea corner. So that's, you know, my one special place when I'm fighting all the battles out there and arguing with people in the traffic and doing all of that. When I come home, this is where I just pause and breathe and just find that moment of peace where I can really reflect and be grateful because we take it for granted that when we go out in the mornings and come home alive, that it's nothing. It is really a blessing because a lot of people leave home and don't even make it to their destination. You know, I've witnessed a couple accidents over the past week where probably on their way to work or God knows where it just did not end well for them. So at the end of the day, when I come home, like I said, just finding that moment of peace, being grateful, being thankful for everything that I have, and just complaining less.
Yeah. Gratitude.
Sounds great. Gratitude is the
Mhm.
attitude, ladies.
That's
Definitely
it.
Yes.
gotta have that. And for me, I think coming home is more of a rhythm than the moment itself. And then just like
Mhm.
finding peace in moments and then showing my kids that I'm a human being. I rest, I get tired, I get
Yeah.
angry, and then we restart where we left off. And then just like, anchoring myself with identity and just rooted in a faith and more intentional and reflective on regular basis, taking one day at a time. Just because
Hmm.
I messed up one day doesn't mean that all the life is gone. Tomorrow's a new
Mhm.
day, so we can start fresh. So just being intentional about the next day and being
Mhm.
grateful for the day that we had just passed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
me,
Gratefulness. gratitude,
Being in a moment.
and being in the
Yeah.
moment, being present. And
Mm-hmm.
Candace, she said this before, but I wanted to put this on the screen because I think it's, that we can all relate to this. She said, but God. So right now, God is molding me, building my character, and teaching me how to become. And I think that we all can relate to that because I always like to say we're always becoming, right? We never arrive.
Yeah.
That's good.
All
It's
works in
because life is a
progress.
journey, not a destiny.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And Timmy said, coming home to myself is feeling God's love all around me and living in joy. And how do we live in joy? We live in joy by being grateful, living in the present, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being grateful.
Yeah. And we live with joy when we share this gratefulness, this love of God. We share it with the
Mm-hmm.
people around us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what the next question is.
I like that all of us, spoke about gratitude. That really that makes me feel good to hear that, despite everything that's going on in this crazy world, that we are just looking for the small things to be grateful for. And you said something about being really intentional, you have to pay attention to be intentional, because it's so easy to be sidetracked with everything that's going on. So I just feel really happy that all of us are talking about gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude is important. I think gratitude is part of having peace, is because we're
Yeah,
grateful.
that is true.
So the
Mhm.
last question is, what would you say to a woman who feels disconnected from herself, but doesn't know where to start?
I
I
think
guess
it's
I can
something
go
that,
first. I would
yeah,
say to the
go ahead.
woman that is trying to pick herself up and feels disconnected is like, I would tell her, you don't have to rebuild yourself all in one day. Take one day at a time.
Mm,
You just have to return to yourself in a moment, acknowledge whatever that feeling is, and feel it for what it is, and go from there. And disconnection doesn't mean you're broken, it just means you're surviving. And sometimes we have to come out of autopilot surviving mode to be thriving. So give yourself
mhm,
permission to dream again, to really, like, connect with that little girl who's screaming out loud, because that unless those needs are being met, you can't become the woman that you are, like, journeying ahead. And start with honesty, not perfection,
Mm,
because we live in a world where everything is, like, filtered, insta
curated.
Instagram
Mhm,
real perfect and whatnot. But start with one small act of care. Care for yourself, care for your little ones, one day at a time, and something that makes you feel who you are at your core, rather than who you're trying to become. Because a lot of times we look at other women, and without knowing a single thing about their journey, we just want to become
mm,
them. I mean, I
mhm,
love Oprah Winfrey, but I cannot become Oprah Winfrey in a day. It's a decades of journey that she has traveled through. So my journey is mine to, like, really live through and
mhm,
honor the experiences and move forward one step at a time. So
mm,
just meet yourself where you are and keep
mhm,
going where you want to go.
mm, mhm.
yeah, yeah. So, you said something about, seeing people. I like to say we see the end product, but we don't see the process. And we are so fascinated with what this pretty nice, beautiful package looks like without seeing everything that took place behind the scenes. So, what I would say to somebody, a woman who feels disconnected, is pretty much echoing what Shahida said. We don't have to do everything all at once. Self awareness is very important here. And I would say to just start small, take away the pressure. There is nothing to fix because you aren't broken. Being aware that you're disconnected is a very big win in my book, first of all. And it's about just taking one step at a time, really noticing yourself and just asking yourself, Simone, what do you need right now? Right. And from there on, because we're paying attention, then you'll be able to see what it is you need, see what it is you don't need, what it is you want. So I would just say to start small, remove the pressure. As Marcella said, we are becoming. So who you are last week is not who you are today and will not be who you are next week. So I don't think we're ever disconnected, but sometimes we just need to pause a little bit and just remind ourselves, of who we are, strip away the roles and the expectations and just be attuned and just ask ourselves, what is it we need now? Not 1 hour from now or next week, or what do I, Simone, need as an individual now? And just honor it, because we'll notice it and then push it to the side. But if you see it, pay attention and do it diligently. That is what I would say to that woman out there. And I feel like I'm kind of speaking to myself in the midst of this. So, yes.
We all are.
Yeah.
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 Listening to all of you, it's really like speaking to our own selves, right?
Yes, for
At one
real.
point in our life, we also felt that we're stuck. We don't know where to go. We're in front of all these um, things that we have to choose from. So for me, being in that situation as well is, for me, it's silence. Silence is golden when you give yourself time to listen to your heart and let it speak to you. Sometimes practically I would say give yourself three adjectives, 3 to 5 adjectives to like to tell you who you are, because there are really
Yeah.
no words to find out who you are. The best that we can do is give us adjectives, because who we are for me is really something of spiritual, something of the soul, that we cannot even have the perfect words for it. That's why we have 3 to 5 adjectives to define, to give yourself the description of who are you, and then what's
Mm,
important for you, and then how do you see yourself, and where do you
yeah.
start? You start where you are, and I think as a person who has gone also to this disconnect from myself, it's because of being too much for everyone that you really don't realize who am I. And
Mm,
so you go within, and then you ask these questions, and then who am I really? And it's only you in that voice, in that stirring inside, that, as you said, Simone, you just notice it. You don't hide it, you let it out. And in my experience, breaking down was good because it let me put things together again and then
mm.
build up again from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is good.
That is beautiful. I know for me, like, so I do not have any children, but I have still felt disconnected because I am a high achiever and it was always do, 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 do. And it's so interesting. So, as you'll know, that I've written 2 books, and a really good friend of mine, said something to me that made me stop. Now, and my book, Self Love, right? So I should be like right there with it, right? But she was like, so how are you feeling about, being an author? And something else she said, but it made me stop in my tracks because really I had decided that, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing?
Mm,
And that is being disconnected to who I am, right? Because I was falling in that do, do, do trap. And really, also, to be honest with you, I was probably still in that doing equals value. Doing
yeah.
is I don't think too much about the worth, but that doing is causing me to be who I am, right? And so I had to stop and take a breath and say, That was not a little accomplishment. That was a big accomplishment. And so
Mm-hmm.
you, Marcella, need to sit in that, right? And not be disconnected and not go, what's the next thing? Because if you're not careful, it's always going to be what's the next thing. And we're never, ever, ever going to be satisfied with
Mm.
what you've done because there's always the next thing. So when is enough
Absolutely.
enough?
Mm.
Absolutely. You know, Marcella, that reminds me of the question that I ask myself more frequently since I turned 40 is like, what part of me have I been ignoring? Because when you're doing, there's parts of you that you're ignoring also. And you don't realize that until and unless you take that pause. So when was
Mm.
the last time you took a pause for yourself?
Yeah,
That what are you ignoring that
right.
needs to come out?
Mm.
True.
So, and like what you just said, Shahada, the feeling disconnected from herself, where do you start? And so my program is reflect, right? That is what caused me to be connected initially is the
Mm.
introspection, the reflection. And then not when you do that and you figure out what's working for you, what's not working for you, then you reset. You don't stay where
Mm.
you are,
No,
and that will cause you to rise.
Hmm.
Love it.
absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
So get
That
your
is
sister.
beautiful. Mm.
So Candace said, be intentional, give yourself grace. Yes, grace.
Yes.
And know that God knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. You still have the time to pick up your mat and walk. God's
Yeah.
promises are yes, yes, and amen.
And amen. I love it.
No,
That is
that's
beautiful.
And
beautiful.
Ashley said, thank you, ladies. It feels good to know that I'm not alone and my titles don't define me. This
Mm.
was so refreshing and right in time, on time for me.
Hmm. Wonderful, Ash.
And
Mm.
Probably Veronica, said, living through our journeys. You know, and even though this is so simple, living through our journeys, that's what our life is one journey after another.
Mhm. Mhm.
Living through our journeys and growing through them because we're going through and there's going to be a next one, right?
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what I love about what you're doing, Marcella, is that you're connecting us and making us stronger because we know that we're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for providing that safe space, not just for us, but everybody who's listening, who's tuning in, and everybody who's
Yeah.
going to listen, and the people who are going to benefit from your program. Because when we were growing up and when we needed these programs, they were not around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I am
Right.
grateful for everything that we're creating for those who have quite a journey, quite a long one to walk yet. And they don't have to walk alone because we had to figure out a bunch of things. And what we had figured out could be like, lamp for them to sort of light their journey so we
Yes.
can make it a little lighter one day at a time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think Veronica, I'm just going to say what she said. And if you're not Veronica, please, I forgive me. I feel so proud of all of you ladies for being open and sharing your stories.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Appreciate
giving
it.
us the
And
opportunity to share.
Candace said,
Mhm.
let's crank it up.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. It's true.
and and she also says, thank you, ladies, so powerful. Love you, love you, Mrs. Marcella. So before we go, one person dropped. If you stay to the end, I am going to give you a link for a free 5-minute reset. So, but you got to stay to the end because the end is when I'm going to share the link. So before we end this, And I know it's almost 1 hour, but we'll probably be finished in another 10 minutes. So, but before we go, I would like each lady to tell us about who they are, what they do, and we'll start with Simone.
Come on.
Okay. Um, Simone, I am the founder of Bereavement and Beyond. Bereavement and Beyond was formed out of my personal experiences with grief and loss, and also
Uh-uh. So it is her, right? It's her or me?
She
Yeah, I think we
froze.
lost her.
Hmm,
Okay.
she froze.
It froze.
All right.
So
So Shahada, let's go to you and she'll come back.
thank you so much for the opportunity. I greatly appreciate it, Marcella. I am the founder of Elite Youth Edge, something that I'm really passionate about. Actually, when I was young, and I'm a medical school dropout, so mainly I was dropout because there were lots of programs that were available to me, but I did not know. So a lot of times our youth misses out on opportunities not because they're not available, but because they don't have resources aligned. And I want to become that resource for those young people who can come to me for their college applications, their learning, their identity, their discipline. So I am the connecting bridge between the youth and adulthood. And a lot of times, like, we are most confused during the time when we are transitioning from high school to college. And a lot of times the kids don't want to go to college, but they're forced to the college because that is the next route that is sort of set traditional way. But there's so much in between that can be developed. And just like we're building programs today, and if you know what you're passionate about, you don't have to go to college or universities to figure that out. Your passion is already in. So, my goal with this Elite Youth Edge is to provide that bridge for the younger generation and connect them to the next resource that they're looking for. So, instead of being consumers, make them producers.
Okay. All right. Yvette?
Okay, so I'm Yvette, and what I do is I give workshops and I give self awareness coaching for people who want to find out why they're stuck, how to get over the crossroads in their life. And that's why I put up the Pivot Point self awareness coaching and workshops. And what I do is actually, before, when we were talking about identity, is that before I would do things and identify with it. What I learned through self awareness that I want to share with everybody is that I went inside myself in that inner journey and I found out who I am, and still a work in progress. And from who I am, I'm going to what I can do. So now it's the opposite. It's now from who I am and the values that I have to what I can do for others who are also in the same journey. So that's me.
Yes.
And you can,
Excellent. So you went from who to how can I help? Who am I to now that I know who I am, how can I help others?
yes, exactly. Thanks, Marcella, for this. And thank you, Simone and Shahina, for such wonderful time with you.
So Simone, do you want to finish or were you finished?
yes, I don't know how much you heard, but I'm the founder of Bereavement and Beyond, and it was pretty much born out of my personal experiences with grief and loss, and just my general observation, especially in my family, of how death especially was handled. But I think there's enough out there, people experiencing death-related losses, and yes, I do deal with death-related losses, but my focus here at Bereavement and Beyond is more around non-death related losses. So caregivers, people experiencing anticipatory grief, people going through divorce, people who are going through something. Uh, Yvette mentioned emptiness syndrome. That's a form of grieving. So I want to tap into those areas of grief that people don't necessarily think of as even grieving. So that's what I'm all about at Bereavement and Beyond. And my key point right now is focusing on caregivers because they're carrying a lot, and I find that there isn't enough out there for them to just lay themselves bare and to talk about, how they feel without judgment. So that is the platform that Bereavement and Beyond is providing right now. And thank you, Marcella, for allowing me to share that and to be here, with you wonderful ladies. This was very beautiful and needed.
Yes, I really thank you. Thank you all, my panel, for being open to coming on and for sharing and being transparent. And
Mhm.
I am Marcella Crank of Crank It Up Coaching. And I I like helping women who are high achievers, who are capable, but then they are striving so much that they lose themselves. And so that's what my program deals with, is helping women to reflect, reset, and then rise. And so for all of you who stayed, uh-oh, I don't know why it's not coming up. Oh, maybe I didn't add it. Okay, hold on 1 second.
It's like Murphy's Law showing up. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong because here I was talking
Okay,
about my nice, wonderful business and it just went.
there it is. There it is.
Look it up.
Crankitupcoaching.com, 5 minute reset. So this
Nice.
is a free resource. You can go there and um, you have to fill out a form. And then what it is, it's a recording and then a PDF to help you to reset. 5 minutes, less than 10 for sure. Um,
Mhm.
but when you do this, I really want you to be in a quiet place and to really reflect and not just, boom, 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 it's done, because that is how you're going to reset.
Mm.
And I want to thank all of you for coming. I appreciate it. And there are a couple of more. There are a couple of more replies. Let's see. This one says connection and support is good, especially in fast paced societies where it can be difficult to listen to yourself. I remember my grandmother and her crew, they were always sewing into each other. And so, you know what? That is just
Mm.
so important. That's exactly what we need, is to
Yeah.
sow in to one another, because no man
Mhm.
is an island. We all need each other. And then they go on to say, congratulations, sisters. I am refreshed. Kansas said, thank you. And so I thank you and for this time with you. And I look forward to the next one.
Yay, me
Thank
too.
you,
Thank
Marcella
you.
Crank, for giving us the
Back it
platform.
up.
And thank you to the
Beautiful.
audience who listened and to those who will listen. We
Yeah.
hope they really get some good things from
Yes.
the sharing.
Thank
Oh,
you. I just want to say like one last comment before we close off. March is like International Women.
International.
What is
Mhm.
it? I'm sorry, I lost my thought. It's a Woman Month, and we're celebrating so many other things. So don't forget to celebrate yourself wherever you're in life, because you might not have arrived where you were meant to be, but you're surely on the journey. So please embrace the journey while you're on it.
Yes. Beautiful.
yes. I
Come
Thank
love
on,
you.
that.
Chris.
I love
Hmm.
I
China,
love it.
because you know what my saying used to be, and I should go back to it, is enjoy the journey, because this
Mm.
is we have one life, right? One life. And so we need to enjoy our journey in this life, right? So that means shedding all of those things that frustrate us, that are sucking our energy suckers, and
Hmm.
take on more things that edify us and more people that edify
Yeah.
us. Like someone said, you know, we need each other. We need
Mm,
each
We
other.
do.
it's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I also want to, so I want to thank you all, and I want to thank those who were in the background helping me out. Um, my crew, I really appreciate all of you because this wouldn't have happened. This couldn't have happened without you. So thank you. And thank y'all. And know that this is on, this is live now, but you can always go back to it and look at it again. And if something spoke to you, try to go, fast forward to that particular person. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
Bye
And
for
put it in the
now.
comments too, Marcella. Right? Like
Thank
I
you.
want to go back and watch it and hear what people are saying. So when you're watching, just drop something in the comments so that we can all go back and look and learn from each other's experience. So I think that's a good
Yes.
reminder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
ladies.
Mhm. Bye. Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye. Have a great night.